Hello, good morning. It's another day, yeah?
It's Friday. It's not another day.
That, it is Friday. But Charlie, Friday. Sometimes you get excited like that, but you want to.
Girls celebrate all week. Yeah.
You want to continue after that? How about we wrap up the show with that this morning? It be some way, be.
Yeah. We've survived another week.
In my rap groove this morning. Manifest on that. But
Charlie.
It's another morning. Here we are. Beautiful Friday morning, actually. And I'm well. How about you?
Oh, I am very well, thank you.
Great. There are a few things on my mind right before we dig into the papers, and I just want to run by you. What do you think about fish farming? Is it something you'd like to go into sometime?
No.
Looking at how lucrative it is?
I don't know a lot about it.
Have you ever heard of reservoir farming?
No, I haven't.
Fish farming.
Reservoir farming?
Yeah, reservoir fish farming.
No, I haven't. Yes.
And what would be some of the benefits of fish farming to you?
But if I don't know, how can I give you benefits? I was going to go into an area that I know.
Which is?
I have friends who are into rubber plantation. Some are doing pineapple.
Now that's interesting.
Pineapple, there's coconut, I think those are things that I know because friends are into it. And it's very profitable. But I don't know about the fish side.
Right.
Yes.
With the pineapple bit, though, it's complicated because now with the new Brexit UK arrangements trade, those who export bananas, pineapples and the rest, they've been in a bit of a flux, if you like, in recent times. So that's a tricky bit. But interesting dynamics.
Companies that also buy from the local farmers.
Yes.
Yeah. There's Blue Skies, for instance.
Yes.
Yeah, but I know where you're going with this.
Exotic, all of those. But yesterday, for me, this was, I don't want to use certain words, but this was quite a revealing vetting session with Mavis Hawakumsin.
Was it?
It was very revealing because I, as an ordinary citizen, forget about the fact that I'm a media person, I was sitting back wondering, so our constitution has certain stipulations about people that occupy certain offices. But beyond that, what do we really look at for these people? You can go as far back as Nkrumah and look at some of the people he brought in, Kobredusei and others who were, so to speak, unlettered, but had their own, efficiencies and effectiveness and did what they did. And I'm juxtaposing that with Mavis Hawakumsin, and I'm wondering, is it just a case of her inability to express herself fully in certain ways? Or is it that there's something behind it, that she can do the job, but maybe she's not able to express herself properly? I don't know. But for me, I don't think she acquitted herself rather well. At least from where I sat, I wasn't convinced compared to some of the others who have come through.
There was a lot of feedback. And I think that the committee members, listen, again, we must give it to them, whether those on the minority side or the majority. I think they did a fantastic job by trying to break further the questions because, okay. We need to go back to the appointing authority, okay? What is it that...
Just because you mentioned the appointing authority, I'm chipping this in, my apologies for interjecting. Someone put up a post and was asking if Mr. President had a fish farm, major one, and he were going to appoint somebody to be in charge of it. You know what the question was. Would he appoint Mavis Hawakumsin? The
thing is, we also do know that the ministers don't get down to do the technical jobs. They have oversight responsibilities. And in fact, in most of the agencies, they actually practically don't know the day-to-day what goes on there. They are just provided with the reports, and they have to familiarize themselves and try and solve issues.
But it also doesn't mean that they shouldn't have a certain level of know-how to be able to control the factors surrounding their ministry, because there are people who are not engineers, end up in the roads and highways ministry, people who end up in agriculture ministry who are not, technical people when it comes to that. You must learn the ropes, and I don't know whether the learning
is
the thing. No, but you see, there are two things. there is learning on the job, which has taken a very different dimension now when it comes to Mavis Hawakumsin, because now everybody is thinking, you know what, I could even come and sit here and do what Mama Vio Usu Abaji is doing and learn on the job.
It just means that she has a long way to go. She needs to get down to learning.
If this were a tunnel, it would be a really long tunnel, because you would expect that while you wouldn't expect her to come and know everything, even when Adwa Safo was brought there for gender, you could tell that there were certain areas where she was not so able, if you like. But she acquitted of herself well. But with Hawakumsin, it was almost as though only Joe Wise could reach out to her. It was as though everything else everybody was saying was over the bar. And that was just, I couldn't get it. I just couldn't get it. I think Joe Wise, you know, she ought to get a package for him. But I also
That's why he's the chairman of the committee, isn't it?
He's been doing so well in that respect. So well, amazingly well. But finally, I saw this bit on social media where you see where in Parliament Hawakumsin is pointing aggressively, you know, there's a shot of her.
I think that was like events of maybe Sith or so.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's and someone captions it, you Samson here, those questions you've been asking me. If the day you come through my constituents.
But MFR Power also said something that everybody needs a Joe Wise in their life.
Oh, that is
okay, but listen, this is the reality of our situation. I say that we have to go back to the appointing authority and ask further questions. What exactly is she going to do at the ministry? Why was she the person appointed?
Wait, don't we know what she's going to do? We know what she's going to do at the ministry.
Well, we don't know what the president has given them. See, that's why I say that we're grateful that most of the people in the ministries are coming back, at least with this appointment, okay? If Parliament approves, so that they are now able to account to us. Otherwise, if you put an entirely new person, what is the person coming to? We don't know what the president has given him or her. So what are you checking, really? What's the what's the standard, or what's the bar line? What's the you have to be given something, okay? And we are not privy to that something. And that's why I said we have to go back to the appointing authority, if we can, to ask exactly.
I agree with you. The retention would help, for example, Kojo Nkrumah yesterday. So they were able to pin him down on certain things. He acquitted himself well, in some areas pretty evasive, but at least he's been in the portfolio. And so holding him to some of the things, yes, they were able to do that. But you can't always also maintain people. I mean, look at the education ministry, for example. People have said that, you know, Dr. Educhum and his work and everything.
He's the right person now, to be the substantive minister.
Napo moved to the energy ministry, and he, you know, Dr. Educhum taking over there. At least that one to most people wouldn't be a problem, you know, but some of the changes. Anyway, let's delve into the papers now.
I was just finally going to say that I want to see Parliament's, you know, the committee's recommendation on the fisheries minister designate, and I guess we'll pick it up from there.
Maybe find out whether she will be cleared, because people have also been saying on social media that it appears no matter what, you'll sail through. Oh, is that the case?
We don't know that, so let's just hold it.
So we shall see. Time will tell. The Ghanaian Times, the Daily Guide, the Daily Post are the papers I have this morning.
Graphic, Republic Press, Finder. If we have time, I'll do some more papers. But let's start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. A very concerning story. It's the banner headline on the front page. It says, time bomb, school children take to drugs. And they have a proper breakdown. 36.4% of first and second cycle students in the country experiment with 2 or more different substances. 59.9% of boys tend to use cigarette more. So more cigarette. 54.1% of boys use cannabis. 36% of the boys use alcohol. 72.7% of girls use pain relievers. 34.3% of girls use shisha. 32.1% of girls use alcohol. 88.6% of students undergo stress in schools, with drugs being the major influence. Whew. All right, so this is a summary, basically, of the story. Very important story. If you're parents, you've got to pay attention to your child right there, and don't think that everything is well with them. This figure is very high. 88.6% of students undergo stress in schools.
What is going on? And you know, sometimes here we take for granted things like bullying in schools. You know, all those things impact the children. I always go back to that Australian little boy suffering from dwarfism. I think it was last year that story broke. And the boy wanted to commit suicide.
Yeah.
His mom had to film what the boy was saying and doing and put it out there for people to realize that bullying is doing this to my child. But these numbers I am seeing, I think parents, look, when a child comes, you should even smell them, find out, because if they are using drugs, narcotics, some of these things, you can even know what sort of check.
And I also think that in terms of the stress, as parents, we shouldn't be sharing our frustrations in front of our children. They're very sensitive. So when you begin to talk about your difficulties, your challenges, and how you're tired and how things are difficult,
you're fighting in front of them.
Yeah, they feel it too, and sometimes they feel like they are the burden. They are the reason you're in that situation. Yeah. So if we can be mindful of some of our actions, that will also go a long way in helping. But the retirement age debate is still on. We had our own conversation with some brilliant students from the University of Ghana yesterday with great recommendations. But there are experts also expressing varied views in the paper today.
What is your view? 60 or 65?
I think 65 isn't bad, honestly. The people that retire at 60, I think it should be optional. So it shouldn't be the mandatory 60, but it shouldn't be a compulsory 65.
Okay, so I think we're on the same wavelength there. 65 if you want to.
Exactly.
60 if you don't want to. Because some people at 55 are already damn tired.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, if you leave the requirements for getting your pension payments and all of that, so 60. Leave it at that. If the person, you see, like with our public institutions, some of our universities and the rest, there are some people that, I mean, even way past 60, we still need them, and then the universities have to go through certain processes to maintain. I think such people, yes, but not for everybody. That would be quite a strain.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's do the Ghanaian Times newspaper now. Chaos in Accra city centre. That story on page 16 as traders capture streets, pavements, disregard COVID-19 protocols. And if you look at the picture, you just see the scene there. Mama, yesterday I got some bits of information that I shared. I'll not mention the name of the school, but a school somewhere in Adenta. And when you see the photos, in recent times, this was just the 17th, so 2 days ago, and some events that were held, the teachers themselves packed together like sardines at some point without masks. You see children, you know the regulations when it comes to the desk and how many should be on it and all of that. All of them crammed together outside though, but the way they were together, and you ask yourself, are we really mindful of the fact that if this thing escalates, we would die like flies? We don't have the healthcare systems to absorb even 1,000 people when it comes to our ICUs. We simply can't do this. Yet it appears we are simply, it's lost on us. We're oblivious of the fact. The
World Health Organization has been saying something. They've cited Ghana as one of few countries in Africa still struggling to contain the spread of COVID-19. So this was in its latest update on the COVID-19 situation in Africa, and says even though hardest hit countries on the continent are beginning to see declines in their cases, there are a few countries, including ours, Ghana, where the infection is rather increasing. And that's a WHO, World Health Organization report citing Ghana as one of those countries in Africa we're still struggling to contain the virus. There's something that we're still not doing right. And definitely, I guess, it will be enforcement.
And the US and some countries also consider us high risk when it comes to COVID-19 right now. So, other stories in there. Driver's mate in trouble for defiling 6-year-old girl. EC boss can't testify. Supreme Court dismisses review motion. That's the third time. President Akufo-Addo congratulates new WTAO boss. On page 3, man remanded for punching lover's eye over chop money. Charlie, untimintia, eh? Obe veranda. Charlie, if you don't go fit, just don't let it get to this. Community policeman stabs farmer to death. 2 arrested for allegedly stealing electric polls. When you go to page 4, Howard Kumson apologizes for firing gun at registration center. So finally, some closure to that matter, if you can call it that. Then, on the back page, tough Morocco test for satellites, and Ghana Water Company Limited rations water in Sekondi, Takoradi metropolis. Those are the stories from the Ghanaian Times.
Let's hit the Finder, front page of the Finder. Media needs more support. According to Kujapon Nkrumah, family of Rollins grateful for a befitting burial. South appeals for COVID-19 isolation center. NLA and Alpha Lotto clash over scope of license usage. NCCE to educate citizens to accept the outcome of election petition hearing. We should consider legislation against LGBTQI advocacy. That's according to Kujapon Nkrumah. But then on a headline, you failed to demonstrate miscarriage of justice. Supreme Court dismisses Mohammed's review application. We've got one of the lawyers on their side joining us here on the show this morning, right up to sports, as we check the mood in their camp and what they make of all the unanimous decisions that have gone against them so far in this case. Abraham Amanabar is on the show.
Let's do the Daily Guide newspaper now. Rawlings family thanks Nana. Mahama review dismissed. And, the Daily Guide has painstakingly, each time there is a ruling, they would actually put the number there, so dismissed 9 to nothing. They painstakingly do that all the time. Supreme Court cites Ayine for contempt. This matter came up yesterday, and, the NDC's team...
But it's in the paper today.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe
and that is why I'm trying to draw the nexus, because...
Share a bit of details. Let's see what they have.
Even the NDC's camp, both Ayine, Dr. Dominic Ayine, and the NDC yesterday, the legal team said they had not got any such, summons or invitation from the court.
Can we check what the Daily Guide has?
So it actually says it is emerging that the Supreme Court has initiated contempt of court proceedings against former Deputy Attorney General Dr. Dominic Akurtenga.
So I guess it's still the rumor, because this was from yesterday.
Maybe I should read further. He passed against the judges. The court's registry is said to have dispatched the summons to Dr. Ayine, who is the NDC MP for Bogot, but it is unclear whether they have been able to serve him with a quasi-criminal process. So I guess that's our answer right there. It is unclear whether they have been able to serve him with a quasi-criminal process. So if it only appears...
with it appears,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Okay, I guess it's...
So why is the Daily Guide making it...
Let's get there. I think we've carried the rumor for 2 days. It's enough. Let the Supreme Court take its action, and then we can begin to talk about it.
Government announces vaccine rollout. That also in the Daily Guide newspaper. Demi Lovato, ever heard of her?
Oh, of course.
Great.
Hello.
Lovely musician. And she's had 3 strokes and a heart attack after a 2018 overdose.
Charlie.
3 strokes and a heart attack.
This lady's story, yeah. It's sad.
She sings so beautifully.
It's sad.
But I think this whole thing about celebrity, if you don't handle it well, it might have the likes of Justin Bieber, even Ed Sheeran at a point, and they have so many different things. His was an eating overdose.
But we are talking about these people who put their stories out there. Do you know what we're dealing with in our country?
Since you speak of our country, Papa Destiny bags masters in conflict.
Funny face not in the news almost every day for.
Yes. We've seen so many of them, but I don't want to mention names before I get cited for celebrity contempt. Criminality of LGBT is non-negotiable. That's they're bringing back what Adwasafo said in Parliament a few days ago. On the back page, young boxer targets medical profession. Referee begs for player assault, and I will kill you in the street.
Hey.
PSG match winner Kylian Mbappe furiously warned Barcelona's Jordi Alba he would kill him in the street during Tuesday's Champions League tie at the Camp Nou. Question is, what now happens? Because this is a threat. I will kill you in the street. I don't know.
If you see something like this and then the next minute that we find the person dead,
That's the problem
Ayo.
when it comes to the law. Because then a threat was issued and it's very difficult to wriggle your way out. The Republic Press now?
Fisheries Howard drowns at sea. Well, some of them are in quotes. Yes.
Okay.
It is well. It is well. It is well.
What a caption.
You know that in our news, we brought an angle of her trying to explain that she had said something in the past, but perhaps it didn't come out the way that she wanted it.
You could tell it didn't come out the way she wanted.
Yeah, because of the language that she was using. I want to believe that it was probably a similar situation yesterday. But listen, where have we all been? Because this is not the first time that she's appearing before a vetting committee, is it?
It isn't.
How come we don't remember the first one?
This time might have been too hard on the ear, the mind, the heart, everything. But I'm asking myself now, when it comes to the local languages, I think sometimes we can avoid these things. There are certain regulations when it comes to the language of Parliament, English. But in some cases, there are certain exigencies that could require the use of certain languages. I mean, in these instances, why don't we do that? Or is it that because she didn't request it? Why don't we do that to make sure that the person who is doing the thing is as comfortable as possible?
The language
can express his or her ideas as properly as possible.
The language they use in Ghana's parliament is English.
No. That's what I started with. It is English, but there are provisions for other languages, even including Hausa.
But they are the lawmakers, so they should pass something like that.
So no, it is there.
As in, they've passed something
they
like that.
They have something like that when it comes to Parliament and the languages to be used.
English or
predominantly
in Parliament.
Yes, but they have their own stipulations about how you can trigger those and use them in Parliament. I'm wondering why they didn't trigger that.
I'm going to check that.
It's so obvious that she could have expressed herself way better than she did in the English language.
Well, I don't know that, but once you said it, we'll follow up.
I like the way you're detaching yourself from.
Let me finish out. There's another headline. It says petitioners to picket at Jubilee House, Supreme Court Electoral Commission headquarters, February 24 for Jane Mensah's removal. I said this is the first time I'm hearing about this. We'll ask the Director of Legal Affairs, Abraham Amaliba, when he joins us if this issue is true. Ayo, that's it, right?
Right. So we can do maybe a story or two from your end, and I'll do my Joy Online.
Yes, let's do my Joy Online. I think we have limited time right now.
Well, let's quickly go and do my Joy Online, find out what exactly the stories are. Most of them, those we would have been talking about this morning. MyJoyOnline.com. We'll be getting to that shortly. All right, Mama.
Oh, so it's unacceptable for Ponkroma Nana B to disrespect Shikata the Sami Jemfi after the court hearing yesterday when he addressed the media. Jane Mensah cannot be compelled to testify. So Supreme Court affirms earlier ruling. Well, there's plenty of stories on all the things that we've already talked about. You can catch up on myjoyonline.com. Just explore. I've got a special birthday dedication before we make way for Oreku Ampofo with sports. Is a happy birthday to the CEO of Center of Awareness Company. They are manufacturers of Koa mixture, formerly Koa FS. Professor Duncan, is your birthday today, from management and staff of Multimedia Group. To you, sir, enjoy your birthday, Professor Duncan, today.
FDM, are you called? Happy birthday to you, Prof. Well, on that note, we wrap up and cede the position to Oreku Ampofo, who's ready with sports. Do stay.